Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Horticultural Society's process for completing the 2025 annual return and grant application. My name is Erin Watt, and I'm an economic and business advisor with the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, and Agribusiness. I'll be moderating today's session, and I'm joined by other experts on the call that are available to answer some questions. This presentation is being recorded and will be made available to all the horticultural societies along with the slide deck following tonight's presentation. Before we begin, I would like to invite my colleague Rashad to do our land acknowledgement.
Hi everyone, I'm Rashad. I know we have people from all across the province, so I'll be doing this acknowledgement in relation to my current location. I would like to acknowledge that I live in Toronto, Ontario, which is located within the boundaries of Treaty 13, the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I respect and honor the Indigenous peoples who cared for this land and continue to act as stewards of the soil, water, animals, fish, and plants. I'm grateful for these lands, which I call home. Any attempt to steward the land must be done in the spirit of the Truth and Reconciliation Report, and it must therefore be inclusive of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis voices. Canadians from all walks of life are responsible for taking action on reconciliation in concrete ways, working collaboratively with Aboriginal peoples. Reconciliation begins with each and every one of us, to quote the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. I commit to learning more about Indigenous history of the area, being an ally to support reconciliation, and not repeating the mistakes of the past.
Thanks, Rashad. So just a few housekeeping items before we begin. We are in a Zoom meeting today, which means you don't have the ability to unmute your mic or turn on your camera at this time. If you have questions, though, please enter them into the chat. My colleague Rebecca Fortenacker will be answering chat questions as we go through the presentation. And we will open the voice and video options during the question and answer period. So if you have a question you'd like to ask verbally, then you can go ahead and do so. Tonight's session is scheduled for 1 hour, and we'll do our best to address your questions during that time. If we go over time, we can address some of the questions that are in the chat by email following the presentation. You can also contact us by email or phone, what you see on the slide here, if you have any questions that you'd prefer to ask outside of the presentation. So tonight's objectives are to provide an overview of the annual return and grant application, to inform you of any changes that have been made and what's new for this year, and provide information about the annual return requirements and eligibility, and demonstrate how to navigate the TPON system and the application form in Adobe. And we'll also discuss any questions or concerns that you have related to the annual return intake. So we'll move on to the annual reporting requirements. And I'd just like to remind you before we get started, the importance of submitting your materials before the deadline of 11:59 p.m. on February 1st, 2026. So when planning your annual general meetings, please keep this deadline in mind, as it's critical to complete the AGM and have your financial statements ready before the deadline to ensure your eligibility for funding. If you have urgent extenuating circumstances preventing you from meeting this deadline, please contact us as soon as possible at ahoa.admin@ontario.ca to discuss your next steps. You will not be permitted an extension unless the circumstances are outside of your control and could not have been prevented. Additionally, I encourage all of you to review the program guidelines and the YouTube video in advance of your submission to ensure it goes smoothly. Copies of the guidelines and links to the YouTube videos were attached to the November 3rd program launch email. So this is just a reminder that if your organization has made changes to your banking information, for example, a change of address for check deposit or a change of electronic funds details, or maybe you'd like to register for EFT, it's critical that you inform OMAFA by emailing us again at ahoa.admin@ontario.ca to initiate the process. For those currently receiving payment by check, we encourage you to consider switching to payment by EFT for faster payment. Also reduces the chance of a check being lost in the mail or delayed because of postal disruptions. Please ensure you register and update the society information before the intake closes. Keep in mind that it may take a few days for these changes to be processed, so make changes well in advance of February 1st. So one of the first updates to the annual return application is in the payment information section. This section indicates how your society is registered for payment. So EFT or check. You will need to indicate that you have reviewed this information and inform of any changes that have been made. If you've made changes, please email ahoa.admin@ontario.ca to go over those requests. You'll see at the bottom some new checkboxes have been added where you'll need to indicate if the payment address is the same as the organization address. You'll see it here highlighted in yellow. So why is filing your annual return important? According to the Agricultural and Horticultural Organizations Act, it is mandatory for organizations like yours to provide the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, and Agribusiness, OMAFA, with an annual return if you wish to remain incorporated. This annual return is essential to maintain your status as a nonprofit organization, remain in good standing with the ministry, and remain eligible to apply for grants. So even if your society is not applying for grants, submitting an annual return through the TPON is crucial to ensure you remain incorporated under the Agriculture and Horticultural Organizations Act. Annual grants are available to any horticultural society who ensures their eligibility by meeting the following criteria. Is incorporated under the Agriculture and Horticultural Organizations Act, works to advance its objectives and comply with the requirements of the Act, has submitted their 2025 annual return form, financial statements, along with an auditor's certificate or financial review certificate, and is listing of incoming, i.e. 2026 board members by 11:59 p.m. February 1st, 2026. And also maintains a membership of at least 25 members, and as well holds an annual general meeting. This AGM should be held prior to the annual return and grant application deadline for the fiscal year just ending. Please note that all grants are based on expenditures made by the society in the fiscal year that just ended. So, annual grants. We'll go over a little bit more detail of the program guidelines that were shared to you by email on November 3rd. So grants are determined based on the society's expenditures from the previous year. The grant is limited to 50% of total eligible expenses, and this maximum amount is determined by the number of voting members. As shown on the screen, societies with 200 or more members are eligible for a maximum of $1,500. For societies with 25 to 199 members, there's a maximum grant of $1,000. And this is also applicable to associations with 15 to 199 members in Northern Ontario. Unfortunately, societies with 24 members or less don't qualify for a grant, or if there's 14 members or fewer in Northern Ontario. When you do fill out your application, it's important to include the amounts of your expenses, provide detailed descriptions, and specify where each expense is located in the financial statements. For further information, please refer to the program guidelines. We'll take a look at eligible and ineligible expenses. So displayed on your screen are a list of eligible activities and expenses. So these expenses can include things like hosting horticultural meetings, participating in promotional initiatives, coordinating field trips and events, distributing plants and planting trees and flowers, membership fees and insurance, meeting venue costs, procurement for plants and supplies, and audio-video equipment rentals, as well as promotional materials. For more details, you can refer to the annual grant section of the guide. So here's a list of ineligible expenses. We've shown here is food and beverage expenses for meetings or events, including catering and alcohol, and bank fees, which include reimbursements for bank deposits, check fees, and income tax refunds. Again, there's more details in the guide. Another change that was made to the annual return form for this year is in the budget or expense table. So you'll see eligible cost categories are provided for societies to indicate eligible costs. If you do have more than one cost per category, please make sure you indicate all costs in the descriptions box. And those changes are here, shown here, highlighted in yellow. Another change was made to the compliance section of the application. So you'll notice the addition of new checkbox at the bottom of the activities of compliance list, where you can indicate if your society did not undertake any of the above activities. So checking this box indicates that you are submitting a return for compliance purposes only. Milestone celebrations. So OMAFA acknowledges the efforts of horticultural societies and offers centennial and sesquicentennial certificates for significant milestones. To invite your minister or your local MPP to an official ceremony, your society is responsible to send an email. Contact details are shown here on the screen, and you can also check the guide for more information on how to do this. For the Centennial Grant, societies marking their 100th anniversary can apply for funding to create a lasting memorial structure or plaque. The eligibility is determined by the society's incorporation date, and societies can apply for a one-time payment of $1,500. Claims submitted with copies of invoices and a photo of the structure are eligible. So please note that claims for milestone celebrations are made separate from and are not included in the annual return and grant application. And societies who have passed their 100th year are retroactively eligible for this grant if they have implemented a commemorative plaque or structure. If the 100th anniversary was not celebrated, societies are eligible to commemorate their anniversary retroactively. So there's a sesquicentennial certificate, which is for societies celebrating their 150th anniversary. It's a similar process, and the eligibility is determined again by the society's incorporation date. So shifting gears, we're gonna talk a little bit about TPON. So you'll need to log in through My Ontario account. If you've filed before, please use your existing account. If you are a new user and have never logged into TPON before, you should create your own account to be sure, but ensure to join an organization and not register a new organization in the system. Your society will already be registered in TPON, and if you create a new organization, you will not be able to file an application. Once you join, you will have You will then have access to the Agriculture and Horticultural Grant application. In the annual return package that was sent to you, you will find helpful resources like guides and links to videos to help you in navigating the Transfer Payment Ontario system. The TPON guide provides step-by-step instructions on using TPON, Adobe, and My Ontario account to ensure a smooth and successful submission process. So to locate the form, the annual return application form is available on TPON for download. Please be aware this form must be completed using Adobe Reader or Adobe Pro. Other software, such as your internet browser, will allow you to open the form, but you are not compatible to save the information with your input. To access and complete the form, follow the steps in the program guidelines. If you've attempted to download the PDF form, but upon opening the file, you've encountered an error shown here on the screen, then it is opened in your internet browser instead of Adobe. So to resolve this issue, you can open the File Explorer by first right-clicking on the file before opening it and using the Open With command. Then select Adobe, and this should allow you to open the PDF form. If you don't see Adobe in your list of programs, you don't have it installed on your computer. So if you don't see it there in your list, then you can open an internet browser, i.e. Google Chrome, and you can follow the step-by-step instructions on how to download a free version and view the guide that is shown in the link here. After the form opens in Adobe Reader, save the form to your computer in a location of your choosing, and you can work on completing the application at any time. So let's focus on filling out the form. When you're using Adobe, the form sections will resemble what you see in the bottom of your screen here. All societies need to complete sections A to G in the annual application. This year we have added a payment section. This section will indicate the current method of payment your society is registered for, so i.e. EFT or check. You will have to check a box indicating you have reviewed the payment information and it is accurate. If you need to update your banking info, contact the AHOA inbox at ahoa.admin@ontario.ca. The YouTube video sent to you in the program guidelines walks you through filling out the form step by step. We'll also play a video at the end of today's session that will go through submitting a TPON application. For a complete submission, you must upload specific documents along with your annual return application in TPON. The three supporting documents are: 1, an executive officers and directors listing for the 2026 year. Please note it is critical that this is for the 2026 rather than the 2025 year. Please ensure the listing includes complete addresses, including postal codes, phone number, and email addresses. The second document should be the annual financial statements. These statements should contain the same information that was presented at the Society's annual meeting and must include a minimum of a statement of receipts and disbursements at the end of the fiscal year. This should contain sufficient detail to allow a clear and direct comparison with the figures submitted in your application. A statement of assets and liabilities at the end of the fiscal year, and a reconciliation of accounts. You may use the templates provided by OMAFA, or you can use your own template. The third document is the report from the auditors or a financial review certificate. A society's financial records must be reviewed for the protection of both the treasurer and the society members, as well as to ensure the proper management of the organization. The auditor's report or financial review certificate must be completed, including signature and date before the AGM. Your society must provide one of the following types of documents: an independent auditor's report form. This report must be from a professional accounting firm and should be on their company letterhead. Copies are acceptable. And please note that a notice to reader report from an accountant is not acceptable. Or you can submit a financial review certificate. The financial review certificates template can be found on the TPON site, and it is attached to the package. This document is to be signed by 2 financial reviewers who must not be a board or executive member and must not be related to one another and must also not be related to the treasurer. When you're submitting, we strongly recommend reviewing the resources provided to ensure your submission is complete. The annual return guide is particularly helpful when filling out the form, and the annual intake package contains financial templates and linked resources, including the TPON guide and videos that will be shown today. You can also download the annual return guide and TPON guide directly in TPON. If you have any concerns or questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Listed here, if you have any questions about eligibility, expenses, or funding for program support, you can call the number provided here on the screen, or you can reach out to us at ahoa.admin@ontario.ca. For any issues or technical support related to My Ontario account and the TPON application, contact TPON Client Care on weekdays from 8:30 a.m. to 5:00 p.m., excluding statutory holidays, using the provided numbers, or you can email tponcc@ontario.ca. On your screen, you'll see a comprehensive list of support resources, including guides, videos, and training sessions, which are also included in this package. As mentioned earlier, be sure to refer to these for support. For example, if you need to make changes to banking information, and it's linked right in the resources section here. Again, you can reach out to us if you have any concerns about the program's eligibility and funding, and that email address again, ahoa.admin@ontario.ca, or you can call the AICC call center. For technical support related to My Ontario or TPON, you can reach out to TPON Client Care. We look forward to receiving your submissions by the specified deadline of February 1st. So at this time, we can take a few questions. The TPON specific questions may be answered in the video that we're going to play next. So maybe hold those TPON related questions until after the video has played. You can ask your questions using the chat feature, or we will unmute anyone if you raise your hand. There is a function on the screen located in the reaction button tab for you to raise your hand. You can ask verbally and in an orderly manner, please. You are welcome to email your questions to the program support at the email and phone number provided. I think Rebecca's put that up for you guys in the chat. And to respect everyone's time, if you want to leave this session, you can. Anyone who wants to remain on the call, you're welcome to stay, and we'll continue to answer more questions and also play the TPON video. If after the question period, we'll play that video that'll walk you through the TPON process, and if you still have TPON specific questions, we'll go ahead and answer those at that time. Yeah, so I'll go ahead here and unmute.
Hi, Erin. I've already allowed participants to unmute themselves. And just for everyone's awareness, my name is Rebecca Fortenbacher, and I am a colleague of Erin's. I have been answering a few questions in the chat. There was only a few questions, more admin related, but if anyone has any other questions, you can either ask them now or wait until after the session or put your question in the chat and I will answer it. Okay, so there is a question here from Susan. It says, so it looks like I must remove Adobe Standard as in previous years in order to be able to read the PDFs. I don't have Adobe Pro. That may be correct. I don't know if you have to have Adobe Pro. Let me check. We will get back to you on that one, Susan, just to make sure that we're giving you the correct information. But if that process has worked for you in previous years, you can proceed with that process. But we will get back to you on that specific Adobe question. Okay, there's a question about our banking remains the same, but the treasurer has changed, therefore the mailing address has changed. Is this something to email AHOA? Yes, that is a great question, and it is something you can email AHOA. You can also email us if you are just inquiring what your mailing address is or the address attached to your payment method. So please feel free to email us and we will help you get your payment method changed. Okay, yeah, Susan, you said that the slide said Adobe Reader or Adobe Pro. Yeah, so that should be correct. You might be able to use Adobe Reader. Just make sure that you are opening the form once it's already downloaded to your device instead of opening it with your computer, like in the internet browser. And yes, Debbie, that is correct. It should be free. You don't have to pay for the Adobe one. Okay, there's a question, one last question, then we can go to the video about whether more than one person can be in the TPON account on different computers at the same time. That is a great question. I'm not sure about that, but having used TPON, I know it doesn't necessarily like having two tabs open at the same time. So potentially that may cause some issues. If you are trying and it doesn't work, then just one person can be on it at the same time, but we will also follow up with you, Nancy, about that one. Is TPON compatible with a Mac? Again, a great TPON question. I believe it should be. I know it's most compatible with Google Chrome. So if you can potentially use Google Chrome on your Mac instead of Safari, that may work better. Okay, so Erin, you can go ahead and start the video and I will keep answering questions in the chat. And then we will also have another opportunity after the video to answer more questions.
Okay, awesome.
There's the annual return section.
Oops. Hang tight, everybody, as I move my screen around here. All right. Here is the video.
Hello and welcome to OMAFA's Agricultural and Horticultural Society's annual return and grant application training. Today I'll be walking you through how to complete your application in our Transfer Payment Ontario system, also known as TPON. The first thing that you'll need to do is to log into the TPON system using your internet browser, preferably Google Chrome. The web address is www.ontario.ca/getfunding. This will bring you to the landing page of the system. At the top of the page, you'll see a blue button where you can log into the Transfer Payment Ontario system, or you can scroll down the page and access the various resources that are available to you. In the Get Help section, there are a number of guides and videos which might help you with creating a new account if you need to do so, or with navigating the Transfer Payment Ontario system itself. Towards the bottom of the page, there's a Contact Us section, which has both a phone number and an email address, which will allow you to speak directly with a representative about any issues you might be having in the system, whether it's logging in or navigating, or maybe some technical challenges you're experiencing. In this case, we're going to log into the system by clicking the blue button at the top of the page. That will bring us into the TPON system, and you'll have two options to log into the system. The first is if you don't have an account, you have the option to create a new account. There's also a guide and video at the top of the page in case you need assistance in doing so. Likely for the majority of you, you already have a My Ontario account, and you'll be able to sign in clicking the button here. Then you can enter your credentials. And select Sign In. You'll need to get a verification email sent to you at the email address on file, so we'll click Send Me an Email. A code will be sent to your email address shortly after clicking this button, and the email should look something like this. We're looking for the code that I've highlighted here, and if you want to copy that, you can paste it right into the Enter Code box, and then select Verify. Now that we've logged into the system, there are a couple options available to us. The first thing that we'll want to do is view or update our organization. We'll then click on our organization's name in the list. And in here, we can update any information about our organization within TPON. Of particular note is the Address tab, which contains the mailing address on file for your society. Please review this and ensure that it's correct. If there are any pieces that need to be updated, you can select the box, enter the new information, and then navigate to the bottom of the page and select Save. Once you've verified this information, you can go back to the main menu and then select Home. Now we're ready to submit our application. We can select the See Funding Opportunities tab, and then again, we'll select our organization's name. There are a number of options here. We can see our previous funding that we've received, but in this case, we'll be submitting for funding for a new application. So we'll click this button. You should see any invitational programs now associated with your organization. You may just have the one program, and it may look like this, where it's a list view and you can click the new button, or you may see it in a card view, which might look like this. Either way, you can select the program that you're applying to, and it'll bring you to the next page. Now we can see that a case has been created for our organization. It's provided us a case number and the date of today of when the draft was created. There are a few different tabs in this section. The first is reviewing the program information. The second is to download and upload our completed form. The third is where we'll attach our supporting documents. And the fourth is where we can confirm our submission. So in the first section, these are documents that are available to you to support your submission. So the first one you'll see is a TPON and Adobe guide, which will walk you through step by step any assistance you might need for using these two pieces of software. And if you don't have the updated Adobe version downloaded to your computer, this is a good resource to help you do so. Next, you'll see the financial statement templates. These are blank documents that your society is able to use if you don't already have financial statements that your society creates. Finally, the last document is our financial review certificate. This is a document that you'll need to have two individuals sign to attest that they've reviewed your financial statements if you don't have a CPA doing an audited review of your financial statements already. You can click on any of these documents by selecting the name of them and download them to your device as needed. Once you've reviewed these documents, you can either select Next or you can select Step 2 at the top of the page. In this step, you're able to download, complete your form, and then upload it back into the TPON system. Please note that your browser's pop-up blocker must be disabled before downloading the form, and it is preferable to use Google Chrome to have the most success with downloading the form. If you do have any difficulties, please ensure that these both are the case. Then you can select the Download Form button. And this will start the download of the PDF document to your device. You'll see a pop-up shortly on your screen, which again, you'll select the Download button to initiate the download process. That's this blue button here. The file will automatically download to your device. In my case, it's downloaded to my Downloads folder on my computer. If you click on it right away, it might open an internet browser and say that it's not able to open. So it's important to find the file on your device, right-click on it, and select Open with Adobe Acrobat. If you don't have Adobe or the latest version of Adobe uploaded to your device, there are the instructions back one page, which can help you download the appropriate version.
The form will open in Adobe looking something like this if you do have Adobe downloaded correctly to your device. If you have a different message coming up, you might need to download the latest version, or you might be opening the form in your internet browser, and it's important you follow the steps we just went through to ensure you're opening with Adobe. Once you get to this screen, you'll be able to expand the form using the Expand button, and then you can begin completing the form. Before you start, we would recommend that you save a copy to your computer with the name of your choosing and a location of your choosing. That way, you'll be able to fill out the application in a number of different sittings and come back to it and enter new information as you go. At the top are the instructions. Please note that there are two parts to this application. There's the annual return section, which is required to maintain your incorporation status under the AHOA Act. And then there is the annual grant application if you're looking to receive funding under the program. There's also a reminder that your auditor's report and/or financial review certificate must be completed, signed, and dated before your annual general meeting. The next section outlines your payment information. Your society must be registered in TPCR and TPON before proceeding. It must be current and match this application to receive a grant. This section will display how your society is currently registered for payment, either by EFT or by check. Please verify that this is correct, and if this is incorrect or you would like to update your banking information, please ensure that you contact us by emailing the email address here at ahoa.admin@ontario.ca to begin the process. Once you've reviewed the banking information, you can click the box to indicate that you have verified this information. You will also have to indicate whether your payment address is the same as your organization address by choosing either yes or no from the drop-down menu. The organization address can be found below in section B, and this is automatically displaying the organization address that your society is currently registered for. If the payment organization address has been or needs to be updated, please email us. If it is the same, please indicate so by checking yes. Section A indicates the organization information. There will be some information already displayed about your society from the system. If there are any errors in what is already displayed, you'll need to go back to the organization tab that we visited at the beginning of the session and update the information. We can then fill in the mandatory fields, which are noted with a red asterisk. I can fill out the OHA district number and the location. for my society. Section B indicates the organization address information as mentioned previously. This section is not editable, and if any changes are required, you'll need to go back to the TPON system and revise the information, confirm the changes and save them, and then download a new form to start the process again. Section C is the application contact information. You'll notice that there are a number of required fields, such as the first name, last name, email address, phone number. You can indicate the position title, whether they have a fax number, and if they are a signing authority. You must have at least one signing authority who will digitally sign this form in the last section. Please also confirm the contact status. In the dropdown, you can select whether this is a current contact or a future contact. For future contacts, they will only receive correspondence for the upcoming intake, so you can use this field if you know that there's going to be a new volunteer in the role for next year. If you use current contact, they will receive information for both this application and future applications. In this case, I will select that this is a current contact. If you would like to add an additional contact, you can use the Add button here at the top and fill out the required information. If you need to remove a contact that you added, you can click the Remove button. For all other changes about contacts in your society, please make those changes in TPON. Section D indicates the society information. Please fill out the fiscal year end for your society, the annual revenue for the year, the annual expenditures, the total number of volunteer hours, the number of members within your society. Please note that in order to receive a grant, a society must have at least 15 members if they reside in Northern Ontario, or at least 25 members if they are in Southern Ontario. Please also indicate the date of the annual general meeting. Your AGM must be held prior to the date of February 1st in order to be eligible to receive a grant. We can then proceed to Section E, which is if you are looking to receive funding under this program. Please provide all of the details from your financial statements, and if it's not visible in your financial statements, please ensure to attach a separate breakdown of these expenses. We can input expenses line by line, and when you do so, please indicate the amount, the location in the financials, and the description of the expense. If you have multiple expenses to input for each of the categories, please do so and indicate separately what those expenses are. So I will go ahead and fill this out. Okay, now that I have finished entering all my expenses, I can see the total down here. The form does the calculations automatically, so you don't have to worry whether this is correct. So this is the amount we would be requesting. The next section is Section F, which is Activities of Compliance. So please indicate by checking the boxes which activities your society has undertaken this year to encourage interest and improvement in horticulture. Please check as many boxes as you have done the activities, but you must check at least one box in order to be eligible to receive a grant. If your society has not undertaken any activities, please check the box at the bottom, which indicates my society did not undertake any of the above activities. Should your application be audited by the ministry, you will be required to provide justification and evidence to show how your society performed the checked off statements. The last section is section G, which is declaration and signing. Please have your signing authority sign the document by clicking I agree. This will automatically populate the signature and date and time. We can now scroll up to the very top of the application to validate it. Click the validate button, and a box will pop up to indicate whether the form has been successfully validated, which is the case here, or whether there are any areas you need to recomplete for either missing information or there are some errors. Please go back, fix those errors, and make sure to validate the form again to make sure it validates successfully. Since it has validated successfully here, I can go ahead and click OK, and then I can click Save. Please make sure you save your form after the validation so that it remains validated and can be populated into TPON. You can check if it's been saved by looking up here above the validation button, and it will tell you when you have saved the form.
Now we can return back to the TPON system, and we'll be able to upload our form. We'll click this button, and we'll use this little navigation tool to find the form that we just saved on our computer and upload it back into the system. Once the form has loaded, you can select the Upload button and allow the system to upload your form now back into the TPON system so that we'll be able to review it for assessment. Please note that the system will not accept scanned versions of the form. They must be completed online in the fillable PDF version for the system to accept this form. Once your form has uploaded successfully, the TPON system will move you into step 3, which is attaching supporting documents. We scroll down the page, we'll see where our application was already submitted, and we'll be able to add the additional required documents for this application by selecting the New button. My documents are saved under my Downloads folder, so I'll navigate to those now. And the first document that I'll upload are my financial statements. Once this document loads, I'll need to select the correct attachment type for it. In this case, I'm uploading annual financial statements, or if I had my financial statements, including my auditor's report, I would select this one. In this case, it's just my financial statements, so I'm going to select this attachment type. I'm going to do the same thing for all of my remaining attachments. Next, I'll upload my financial review certificate. And I'll do the same process where I'll select the appropriate attachment type. Finally, I'll upload my incoming listing of executives. It is important that this is for the incoming year, not the year that you're submitting expenses for. Again, I'll select my attachment type of incoming executive officers and directors. Now that I've uploaded all of my supporting documents, I'm able to either click the Next button at the bottom of the page, or I can navigate back up to the top of the page and move to the Confirm Submission step. Once you've submitted by using the Complete Submission button, you won't be able to go back and make any further changes, so please ensure you've uploaded everything you need to at this point before you click this button. If you do need to make additional changes, please contact us at ahoa.ca. case.admin@ontario.ca, and we can assist you with these changes. In my case, I've uploaded everything I need to and I've verified it's correct. So I'm going to click the Complete Submission button. We can now see on the right-hand side of the page the case number that's been generated for my file, the date that it was created, that's the date I downloaded the form, and the status shows as submitted, which means that OMAFA has received a copy of your application. You'll also receive an email similarly noting that your application has been submitted to the system successfully. If you do have any challenges with this process, again, please do not hesitate to contact us at ahoa.admin@ontario.ca. Thank you for your time.
All right. I guess if there's any T-bone related questions that haven't been answered in the chat, we could take a few minutes to address those now.
Hi, Erin. I just wanted to outline a few questions that people are asking just to make sure everyone has that information. So a question that I haven't yet responded to is from Gina about how many attachments can be made. So to my knowledge, there's no limit on how many documents you can upload into the system. So if you need to upload, let's say, separate documents for your financial statements or your list of board members, please feel free. It, might be easier to upload them as like one document, let's say for a financial statement, but you are able to upload multiple documents as well. Yeah. There was another question I just want to go over from Ruth about, do we combine expenses in a category or can we add lines? So we do want you to combine the expenses in each of those eligible categories and put the specific expenses you're claiming into the description box. If you do have any issues with that or you're experiencing limits on characters, please do send us an email and we will work with you to sort that one out. Okay, so there's a question from Claire about the review certificate being scanned, but you're unsure about how to upload it. So you should be able to upload the financial review certificate the same way you upload the other supporting documents. And I just want to indicate that how you upload the actual application is different than how you upload the rest of the supporting documents. So the actual application needs to be in the specific fillable PDF format. However, the review certificate can be in other formats. So it can be scanned, it can be a PDF, or it can be a photo. All of those formats work, and you can upload those when you're uploading the other supporting documents. If you do want more instructions on how to do that, you can look at the YouTube video that we just played. I will put the link for everyone into the chat. The link is also included in the guidelines, and the guidelines also have a process. It's in section, I believe it's in section 6.3 of the guidelines, which outlines how to complete the submission. So you would upload the required supporting documents by clicking the new button and then click into the attachment type box, select whatever you're uploading, whether it's, the audit report or financial review certificate, and then you would just complete that process. Don't believe there's any other questions right now that I haven't responded to. But we are here and available if you do have any other questions.
Okay, I'll just finish off the presentation. If anything else pops up, we can deal with it then, I guess. So the next steps, once you submit your annual return and grant application, the package, including the application and documents, is verified for completeness and correctness by OMAFA staff. If clarification is required to complete the submission, OMAFA staff will reach out to you, so please monitor your email. Once the package is processed, then it'll move on for TPON payment, so you can watch for that notification in your email as well. So thanks for joining us tonight. On the screen here, you'll see an evaluation form for tonight's session. So if you don't mind to fill that out, that would be great. I think Rebecca also put it in the chat, and you'll also receive an email with a link to the evaluation form as well. I would just like to say a big thank you from everyone here who assisted in organizing this session. And thanks to everyone for attending tonight. And I hope you have a great evening. And if there is any outstanding questions, we can address those now.
I have also just put into the chat information on how you can contact TPON if you do have any other TPON specific issues or questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Rebecca.